Hello, welcome back to Soul Search Sunday with Johnny Tiger on Sunday, February 28th, 2021. I remember a handful of years ago, I was talking to my dad on the phone, and my dad made a comment. I don't remember all the details of what we were talking about at the time. It was something to do with work. Someone uh, offended me at work, or there was some issues going on at work, and I was talking to my dad about it, and he, long story short, basically told me I wasn't handling the problem like a real man. I wasn't aggressive enough, and yada yada yada. And nearing the end of our conversation, my dad said to me, he said, "You know what your problem is? Your problem is that you're too soft, you're too weak, you're not aggressive enough. You can never get anything done the way you are." Now, for those of you who know me, that, that was a, a statement. That statement was so ridiculous that rather than offending me, it actually made me laugh because it was so ridiculous that it was funny. Because anyone who's known me, who's worked with me, who I've worked for, anyone who's been in my life for long enough periods of time, will never equate me with words such as soft, or not aggressive enough, or weak. Later, when I talked to my mom on the phone, I said, "Hey, the old man told me that my problem is I'm not aggressive enough, that I'm too weak and I'm too soft." And even my mom laughed her head off when she heard that. My mom said, "Your dad is just lucky that he's never been there to watch you get angry." Actually, he has. Actually, what made his statement even funnier than it warranted was that for a long, long time prior to his being plagued with dementia and other conditions that made him forgetful. For a long time, my father asserted that of all his children, I was the most cold-blooded one. I was the most daring. I was the most aggressive. In fact, he would often say that I was too aggressive, too cold-blooded when I was younger. Of all the people in this family that he's ever dared to lay a hand on, I was the first one who dared to take him to court. And of all the people in this family that he dared to bully and uh, lay his hand on, I was the first one that dared to threaten him with violence, although it wasn't really for my own benefit. When I threatened him with violence was when he tried to abuse my mom in public, and I finally had enough of that crap, and I told him that if he ever did that again, that I was, well, I was going to do something very not nice to him. Um, would I really? Probably. Especially back then when I was 17, 18 years old, I was just impulsive enough and aggressive enough and violent enough to carry out that threat. Whether I would or would not, it shocked him enough that, to my knowledge, now this is to my knowledge, of course, and you know, there might be things that I don't know, but to my knowledge, ever since I issued that threat, from that day forward, he had not laid a hand on my mother for over 15 years. But for those 15 years, he would often bring that up to guilt trip me. He would often say, you know, of all my children, you are the most cold blooded. You are the most inhuman. You are the most aggressive. So it became doubly ironic that he would later claim that my problem is that I'm too weak, too soft, not aggressive enough. My father often complained that why all his children turn out to be flawed one way or another. My oldest sister got a really bad, very vicious temper and is really bad with money. My second sister uh, is very temperamental and tend to trust the wrong people at the wrong time. My older brother, very well, okay, David is a criminal. He spent his life trying to be a criminal. There's no sugarcoating that. Me, well, according to my dad, I'm the most cold-blooded and ruthless and aggressive. My younger brother Peter is money-grabbing and just a very tight-pocketed miser when it comes to money. According to my father, he can understand why every single one of us have flaws like these. But in the end, what he fails to see is that there is such a thing called karma. And I'm not talking about karma as in a mystical force. I'm talking about karma as a cause and effect. And I think that is the core message I'm trying to send with this Soul Search Sunday is for a lot of parents. Now, I'm not a parent. I obviously don't have all the answers when it comes to parenting, but there's something that I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt. What you put out to your children will come back to haunt you later. So don't do something, don't educate your children to be a certain way and be all surprised when they use that education on you later. This is what I mean. When we were little, my father taught us there's nothing more important than money in this world. Even if you have to do immoral thing, illegal thing, as long as you make money, it's okay. So because of that teaching from him, my younger brother and my older brother both become very money driven. Now he would want them to be money driven, but he wants them to be generous with him. Doesn't work that way. When you put an idea in your children's head, when you put a belief system in their head, it doesn't come with a fail switch. It doesn't come with conditioning that say you only do that to other people, you don't do that with me. No, it doesn't work that way. When you condition your children, when you brainwash them to believe in a certain thing, then later on they are going to treat you with the same standard as they treat other people when it comes to that brainwashing and conditioning. Ever since when we were little, my father taught us that the only way to get that money, the only way to get ahead in the world, was to be aggressive and ruthless and without mercy. So when I grew up, even though I tempered it down, at the core, I can still be very aggressive and ruthless and without mercy. And he did not like it a single bit when I used that tendency on him when he put his hand on me and I, without a second word, took him to court and reported him to the police. And when he threatened my mother, I, without a second word, threatened him right back with violence. Again, you taught me to be ruthless. You taught me to be aggressive. I'm sorry if you don't like it when I use it on you in return. I have a friend who, whenever he get into an argument with his mom, he's like a lawyer going to court. Every single word his mom uses, even uh, inaccurately or any kind of speech flaw, he would latch onto it and beat it to death, and then beat it some more. Why did you use that word? Do you think that word was the right word? Do you think that was the right thing to say? Well, why? Why do you think that's a well? If you don't think that was the right thing to say, why did you say it? Oh, and so on and so on. And I sometimes say to him, I said, why do you do that? It's so obnoxious. And he said, because that's what she did with me when I was growing up. And when he said that, I was like, oh, okay, okay, well then, okay, then it makes sense. Then I guess she deserves what she get now. There are a lot of senior citizens in China, Taiwan, who complain about their children don't treat them good. There are a lot of elderly parents that say things like, my kids are not nice to me because they don't talk to me, they don't hang out with me. They think that feeding me, keeping me clothed, buying me a big house, that's all I need. I don't want those things. I just want my kids to spend time with me. To these parents, I want to ask them, did you spend time with your kids when they were younger? Or did you believe that making enough money to put clothes on their back and put them to school and buy them the newest PlayStation was good enough? Because if that's your belief system back then that's what you taught them. And that is why it's coming back to you right now. It's a cliche to say, don't do unto others what you don't want done to you. But when it comes to parent child relationship, it is really, really true. Everything you teach your children, everything you show your children, every way you treat them will come back on you sooner or later. So it's very important to keep that in mind when you are molding them, shaping them for their future. Buddhist, Taoist, many other religions like to say that karma is a universal mystical force dictated by the Buddha or by the God. You do this and then someone will punish you later. I don't think so. I think karma is a simple law of nature. It's cause and effect. And we can see that clearly in how parents and children act, interact, and react to each other, and how those interactions will come full circle later on onto the parents. Thank you for checking out today's Soul Search Sunday. We'll be back again tomorrow for Music Monday. For now, have a good night.